Hey guys, I'm going to explain the Desmos Art Project here. So, if you look at the lesson, or the project rubric, first thing we need to have here are two quadratics. So let's go ahead and start drawing a couple quadratics. Let's do y equals x squared. And let's do another one, y equals negative x squared. And I want to change the color. The way you change the color is you tap on the gear and let's choose black. Okay. Now, if I want to restrict the domains of these, then without using a comma or a space, I just type the curly bracket. And let's say I want to restrict this to values between -3 and 3. Then if I zoom out, then you can see it's restricted to -3 and 3. Let's do the same restriction on this one. Okay, now let's try to make these line up. Let's add 3 to that. Actually, it's -3. And let's add 3. And yeah, so if I like that shape, I go ahead and leave that. Let's go now and do another element here. Our graph has to have at least two absolute value functions. So let's do something like this. Y equals absolute value. And the button to do the absolute value, that's the one above the enter button. And so just shift on that button. Let's do x minus 3. And then plus 4. And it's looking a little chaotic. Let's move it to the right a bit more. X minus 5, 7. Sure. And we're going to restrict this one. You can also restrict the range. I'll show you how to do that. Let's have the range go from 0 between 0 and 10. Yeah, so I've restricted the range there. Okay, and now let's just copy this one down here. And now instead of -7, let's do +7. And so I've got these two different things here. Okay, so I've got two absolute value functions. And now polygons. This is something that's a little bit different. Let me show you how to make polygons. The first step here is to make a table. And for the table, we're going to list all the vertices of the polygon. So let's do a point at -10, -5. Let's do one at -5, -5. And let's do one a little bit lower and in between, -7, -10. Okay, so you've got your polygon, or you got your vertices, your points, but to make an actual polygon, you type in polygon and then x1 comma y1. Now here x1 is referring to a string of values. It's actually a vector. So x1 refers to these 3 points, y1 these 3 points. And so I don't want these red dots shown to be shown up, so I'm going to hit this button. It's going to hide those guys. Okay, so I've got that polygon x1, y1. Now let's let's change the color here. I don't like green. Let's make this one purple. Okay. All right. So that's polygon. Let's do another element here. Lines. And yeah, we won't really spend much time on lines, but it could be something like this. If I want a line that goes through the point 3, 4, then it'll be x minus 3 minus 4 plus 4. Okay, so that's a line that goes through 3, 4, just to show you this 3 comma 4. Okay, so this is a line that goes through 3, 4, and I can change the slope here. Let's do 2. Let's do 8. Okay, and I want to restrict this one. Let's restrict this one's range, and let's do it from, let's go from 5 to 7, 10. Okay, so I've got this little line there. And I'm going to hide that dot. Okay, so we've got those elements. Let's just go through them one more time. We've got quadratics, absolute value functions, polygons, lines. We've constrained the domain and range. And now for some animation. So for animation here, let's move the polygon. So let's do an A here. Actually, let's do plus A. And we can add a slider here for A. And if we just press play, then it's going to be moving left and right. All right, let's do the same thing here, and it's going to be moving diagonally. And if you want to do something really exciting, we can make this rotate around the origin. So the way we're going to do that, let me just check Wikipedia here. The way you rotate something is with that matrix. Now, I'm not sure how much you remember from matrices, but let's just plug this in. So we're going to do x1 cosine A minus y1 sine A. And then here, we're going to do x1 sine A plus y1 cosine A. See if I got that one right. Yeah, let's see if it works. So let's hit animate A and see what happens. Oh yeah, look at that. So that's how you rotate something with that big ugly matrix thing. Again, that's x1 cosine A minus y1 sine A. And then the y value is x1 sine A plus y1 cosine A. So that's mildly entertaining. Okay, so let's go through the elements and see how I would score this. So if I was scoring this, it does contain two quadratics. It does contain two absolute value functions. I've got one polygon, wouldn't be too hard to add another. I've got one line, I could add another. I've constrained the domain and the range. It contains at least some animation. Now for this one, does it amuse and delight Mr. McMullen? I'm looking at this, and honestly, this is pretty ugly, right? I mean, it's just not pretty. I would give this a 0. I'm neither amused nor delighted by this. Well, I know I'd give it maybe a 5, but certainly there's something you could do to make it a little bit more artistic or to add some more shapes or some more things. So yeah, it's not hard. I mean, if I graded this, even though it's kind of ugly and I did it literally in like 5 minutes just now, it would be like a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, like a 60 out of 70. So, it's not hard to get a good grade on this, but I do want you to go for this last element. I want to be amused and delighted by your creations.